study film. Like, fighters do not want to study film. I have my fighters, like, I invite them to my house. Like, I'm going to cook you, like, one of your diet meals, and we're going to sit down and watch your opponent. They're like, no, you do it. You look at it, and you come up with a plan. What are you afraid of?
Yeah.
What don't you want to see?
They just want to do the spark notes.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's not going to get it done.
Exactly. So I prefer to sit there with him and go over, for that matter, if we have multiple coaches. Now, when coaches are making big money, when fighters make big money, you can even afford to spend more time together. You know, if you have coaches that are making, you know, $50,000 or less, and the coach's cut is 10% of that, you chop up $5,000. Well, there's not a lot of the coaches can't give up 16 weeks of their life for a third of $5,000. I understand that.
Yeah.
But when they're making big money and they can afford to pay the guys, then take the extra time. You know, when you're going to bring home a big check to your wife you can justify not being home for dinner because you're going to be studying film with your fighters. So I think that's what has to happen. Is all fighters, all coaches need to have more meeting time, more film time, and less at that level. I think it's a lot less about sweating and a lot more about thinking.
Berlanga, like last night, so I'm watching the fight. Obviously, I'm kind of waiting for the knockout. We're so used to him getting those knockouts, 16 in a row he had. And then his last couple fights went the distance. Last night he went the distance again. And people are starting to question, you know, who is this guy? Is he for real? You know, there's a lot of talk around that. I obviously still think he's a great young fighter, but he's finding his identity in there. Do you think if you were coaching him, would you want him to lean more into the monster, or would you want to mold him more into a boxer? It seems like that's the divide there. Is what are you going to ride with? Do you want him to go in there like Tyson-like in the early rounds and just get right after guys and bring that excitement? Or are you saying we gotta help mold this guy for the future because he's got to have bigger opponents soon?
I think that they have access to high-level sparring partners, and that's going to tell you. You know, Roberto Duran used to knock out middleweights in the ring in practice with headgear and big gloves on. If he's doing that, if you're getting him in with guys that are at that high level, and when he's relaxed, he's cracking people and hurting them, well, then it's just a question of allowing him to be himself. If you're realizing, man, he really doesn't have that KO power like we thought, it was just the level of opponent that he had, then you got to try to really develop more tools. I think that sparring is just, you know, priceless. And to get him in there with, you know, they have access. I mean, you know, at his level, a guy like Canelo would let him come, for example, would let him come and be in his camp. You know, there's really high level guys that would let you have access to them, especially when he was like, I wouldn't wait until now. Now he's like on everybody's radar, and he could be a potential opponent, so maybe not. But when he was 14-0, you know, when he was 13-0, they could have got him in with some big name guys and really see where his power is. And then you'll know, does he have real power, or is it he's sparking out these guys that are just no good? So
tell me about like the thudding power. Like even the other day, and for people who haven't been to the Fifth Street Gym on Saturdays, if you swing by around 11 a.m., like it's an amazing energy. You got people in here sparring. I'm over there working out, trying to get a sweat. We got people everywhere doing everything. You know what I mean? Not that I'm a star in this madness, but I just come for the energy.
It's a madhouse. And people come from all over the world. And we have a new fighter, Hassan. I wish I could pronounce his African name, but he's from Tanzania. He's number 14 in the world at 154 pounds. And he is not very technical. Matter of fact, he's never been in a boxing ring other than his fights. He's never trained in a boxing ring until he came here.
Yeah.
So he's not very technical, but he's
that's
got
great.
rocks.
Wait. So he never changed a boxing ring?
He never trained in a boxing ring. He was trained in a volleyball court. Number 14 in the world.
In his last fight, he beat like number 12 ranked guy in London or something?
Correct. With no coach.
My God.
He went there with they sent him one plane ticket. He went there by himself. This guy's got rocks in both gloves.
You said you feel it when he hits the mitts, right?
I can feel his knuckles.
But it's not a pop, it's a thud. Like describe the difference. Like people talk about how kind of like Foreman had that thudding like.
It's neither one of those. It's like he's cheating. Like he's got something in his gloves that's illegal.
He's got the plaster going.
It's not like he's smacking my hand back. I can feel it in my palm. His knuckles penetrating through the leather. I held pads for, I was telling you last week, the English kid. He just beat Khan.
Kell Brook.
Kell Brook, who I love. He also punches every punch with his knuckles. I've been fortunate being here. We have people, world-class fighters come on a vacation. They're like, hey, coach, can you do me a favor, hold a couple rounds of mitts for me? And I actually hate mitts. I don't believe in mitts. That being said, the opportunity to hold for someone like Cal Brook or, a former world champion is really, I get an insight.
Yeah.
Literally, I'm inside their punches, seeing their speed, their power, their technique, their lack of telegraph. That's what all these big stars do more than everybody else. They don't telegraph. And when you don't see it, that's when it hurts. And Cal Brook, for example, does not telegraph when he throws punches. So if he's going to get you, it's going to hurt.
What do you think is next for Cal Brook? Like, he just got past Amir Khan. That was a big rivalry fight that finally happened in the UK. I mean, I thought it was really cool, and I thought it would be a good send-off for both guys. Apparently, Khan's I'm about done, which is, that's another story. I wish he was done. No disrespect to Khan, but it's that time. Cal Brook, he's still rolling. And I think he looked tremendous in that fight. There's still fights out there for him. Do you throw him right back in the mix for those top 10, top 5 guys?
I think if he's ready to make that kind of commitment, sometimes it's not about their skill, their talent, but are they really ready to do the camps the way they used to do when they were, when they were 25 and contending for the world title? Are they hungry like that?
Yeah.
They really feel like doing that for 8 weeks in a row, 2 or 3 workouts a day. Joe Louis said it's hard to get up and run when you're sleeping on silk sheets. I'm sure he lives a comfortable life. So does he feel like doing that? I don't know. Physically, he clearly shows. Khan is so fast. Speed and reaction are the first things to go. If he can handle Khan's speed, he can handle anybody's speed. So that's not the issue. Does he want to be that committed to a fight, to practicing day in and day out? I mean, what is he, 33 or something?
He's older than that,
Okay,
I think.
older
Yeah,
than that.
he's getting.
So imagine he's doing this since he's 13. So 30 years of day in and day out, the same 5 punches. Holy cow! You can't blame him. For us, for us sitting on the couches, we wish we were there in the main event, getting our hand raised more than anything in the world. But he's already done that.
Yeah.
So how many times can you get up and put your shoes on and go for that run? I don't know. If that doesn't bother him, he clearly can contend for a world title.
Yeah, we'll see. There's been some amazing cards in the UK though, with Eddie Hearn. I think he's doing an awesome job with Matchroom. Last few weeks, there's been ridiculous, fight of the year with Mick Conlon and
unbelievable.
Now I'm blanking on the other guy.
Unbelievable, but
Lee Wood, Mick Conlon, Lee Wood. I mean, that was nuts.
I've seen Eddie shadowbox or spar with.
He posted something the other day.
Clearly, he doesn't know the difference between a left hook and a fish hook. But he can promote.
Yeah.
His matchmakers, he can run a business. That guy's smart. They know what they're doing. They're giving fans fights that they want to see, not just famous names.
Yeah.
They're putting together fights of guys that are going to make a real fight out of it. And he knows the English fans that they want to see that more than they want to see titles and names and nonsense. They want to see people killing each other. And it's going to pay off.
Yeah.
His brand, the Matchroom brand will keep growing.
The pressure's on, I think, officially, because people are starting to recognize the bullshit and be like, look, we don't want to see the odd sheet and see some guy who's a minus 3,000 favorite going into this fight. This is ridiculous. You see Eddie Hearn at the UFC event yesterday in London sitting next to Dana White. That event was on fire in the O2. And no one puts on better fights like the UFC. They make it super competitive. I think Eddie Hearn's learning a lot from Dana White and clearly buddies with him. And I think it's rubbing off in a good way. He understands, look, the fans want to see high-level competitive cards, not just the main event. They want to see from the top down excitement, and he's starting to do it, I think, in the UK. It's awesome.
Well, nobody wants to spend 3 hours waiting for the fight.
Yeah.
You want to watch good fights. Real fight fans go with the prelims. They don't want to see junk all the way until then. They want to enjoy the whole night of fights. And for the money that they charge, you should get that. That being said, for the money that's out there, now that we have, really with the internet, you could sell tickets some way, shape, or form to everybody in the world. Maybe in poorer countries they sell them for less, but before you never got 1 penny from those countries. There's so much money out there to be had for the promoters and the fighters. If I were someone like Cal Brook, I would they'd have to drag me out of there. I'd be like Brady. I wouldn't retire for anything.
Yeah,
but
I don't
better fights where it's at. That's how it used to be. You used to be able to get bangers in there all the time. You didn't have to be undefeated. Things got convoluted with Mayweather being 50-0, and that became such an issue. But now, when I first started getting involved in boxing, there used to be a book. It looked almost like a Bible, and that was the records of everybody for the whole year. You couldn't go on BoxRec and realize the guy just lost
So this was like a real encyclopedia box rec you got to flip through and like.
And you look and you saw the guy lost last year, and you tried to judge. So in turn, you went to every fight as a coach, as a manager.
You don't know what you're getting.
As a wannabe, as a water boy. I went to every single boxing match I could get my hands on. I would go, and you try to see, and you typically, most of the fights, you'd almost always fight local people, unless it was for something important, you know?
Because you don't know who you're going to
no
see.
idea.
You're just going to show up like...
You had no idea who you were
Yeah.
going to see. Guy's 14-0, and then you look, by the time he fights you, he could be 17-0, or he could be 14-3. He could have fought 3 times. So, you know, you have to do your homework, all these things, everything that requires anything successful. You got to do your homework. So it's easier to do your homework these days, but even the fans can do their homework now. They can go look and they can say, oh, this guy's 20, he fought nobody. He's from Kansas. He's never fought anybody ever. The best fighter he fought was 11-30.
Right.
And then you realize what you're getting. And then after you watch that bad fight, then the next time you're not paying next time.
Exactly.
Learn your lesson.
So Daniele is fighting soon in Italy, and
Former
that's
WBA champion.
There you go, and that's a Matchroom event, right? OPI and Matchroom co-promote. Help me understand, and the people like watching. This is my opinion or what I think is happening. It's a changing of the guard, right? In terms of this is the face of Italian boxing. I think Daniele's already kind of there as a star in Europe, but this is like an official passing of the torch, right? As Daniele now is the face of Italian.
Yeah, that kid's a little older, DeCarlos. He's a tough guy that will come in super good shape. I mean, you look at him, he couldn't be built any better. He couldn't be any fitter. I think he works out year-round. Unlike Daniele, who's not afraid to put on a few pounds, I think DeCarlos stays on it all the time. That being said, Daniele's much bigger, they say they're listed at the same height, but I saw them stand next to each other. Danny's a little bit taller, he's got longer arms, so we feel confident that if we do our homework, I've been sick the last couple of days. You hear my voice. I've watched more DeCarlos than I've watched anything else for the last 3 days. So that being said, I watched it alone. Danny didn't want to sit with me, but I will prepare him as much as possible.
Does he not like watching like? He likes just hearing the advice from you. He doesn't like seeing it himself. Is that like he doesn't?
He wants me to essentially digest it for him and give it to him the way I've been giving it to him, his whole career. And a lot of my fighters are like that. And I don't think it's just they have supreme confidence in me because I may not have a stable like some people have, but we are very close. And my fighters are like family, literally. We go to each other's houses and we eat dinner together with our families. We travel together. When Danny fights in Italy, my whole family will come out and we'll spend time together. So we have there's obviously a super high level of trust. That being said, I always think the more homework, the better. But Danny will come in super good shape. His cardio is some guys got power, some guys got speed. A lot, they have all these things that everybody gets more experience as they go, but no one's got a gas tank like this kid. Yeah, I've never seen anything like it.
I've seen it in the gym. Some of the sparring sessions. It's incredible how he melts guys in the later rounds, and it's not the best comparison at all, but it's an easy one to make. I think for the listeners is if you look at a guy like a Nate Diaz. I'm not really comparing them style wise, but in terms of breaking up the will. You look at a guy in the UFC, Nate Diaz, he's always in your face. When is this guy going to slow down? He's not going to. He's going to be there till the end. I think Danny has those traits.
The difference is that in between the rounds, Danny winks at you, smiles at you, tells you what good job you did.
He's not giving you the double bird.
He's not even making you mad. It makes it even, I think it's worse. At least Nate will light a fire under you, maybe give you another round. This kid hugs you and takes the fight right out of you. So, he's a really nice guy.
He's salsa dancing. Really nice. He's got
He couldn't be having, he makes the most. He would rather, if you've ever seen his Instagram, he'd rather be on a yacht in the Mediterranean. That being said, he really has a good time training.
Yeah, he's got the bad boy look down pat. So I think he's got some big advertisers coming in.
In Italy, it's remarkable. I was in a pizza restaurant in the middle of the night in Rome, which is, it's like the difference between New York and Miami. It's far. And the chef goes, "Hey, Scardina. I go, no, coach." He goes, "Yeah, coach, the Scardina." I said, "Yeah." And I ate as much pizza as I could fit in my face for free. So he is quite a celebrity there. He just did a Christian Dior ad.
Yeah, that's big time.
They did only a couple international athletes. The only other boxer was, what's his name, from Canelo's camp? Mikey Garcia. Not Mikey Garcia.
Ryan
Garcia.
Yeah.
And
Talk about another guy who's leaving town. I mean, he's joining Joe Goosen, which is interesting. But
you know, if I were a fighter, out of all these famous coaches, he's the only guy I would go to.
yeah, great choice. It's just interesting for him to leave Canelo's camp. It's like, wow, like the pound for pound #1. You don't want to be around that.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe he feels like he's not getting enough attention.
Yeah.
How can you give him enough attention if they're training at the same time? It's impossible. You're only one. You know, you're only one man. You can only give so much attention. Number two is if you're making $5 million on a Canelo fight, or as a coach, or you're making $1 million on a Canelo fight, whatever whatever his cut is, and you're making 50,000, it's just
natural.
It's just natural, yeah.
Well, let's go back to Italy for a second, because what is Dino eating next? I know you've been talking about that. You've been posting on Instagram. You've been highlighting a lot of local spots in Miami.
I'm Catholic, so Lent has come, and I have given up everything that I love for Lent. I've given up pasta, pizza, all desserts. So that's why Dino has not
are you invited to Sunday dinner with the family? I mean, you got the Italian roots. What are you eating?
It's been canceled. So it's been sad. But nevertheless, I'm like almost 20 days in. We got 20 some odd days to go. And Lent will be over when I'm in Italy. So everybody will see a lot of what is Dino's eating next. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner when I get off that plane.
All right, we got some food content coming then. Absolutely. That's good. With the jiu-jitsu as well, you got the shirt on. You got the recent win.
I competed. I haven't competed in a long time in anything. And my daughter, I started her jiu-jitsu during pandemic. And I started doing it with her because I want to lead by example and not force her to do something she doesn't want to do, because it's a very uncomfortable sport. That being said, for all the parents, especially of daughters out there, like 60% of the curriculum is taught from the rape situation. Literally, you're on your back with your legs open, and I want her to be able to defend herself from that situation. It's something that most people quit. The attrition rate in jiu-jitsu is astronomical. So when she doesn't want to go, I say, come on, we're going. Also, I want her to be able to do it under pressure, which is the only simulation of pressure is competition. Not that I care if she ever wins a trophy or a medal. That not going to do anybody any good. But I want her to compete, to put pressure on her, for her to react in those circumstances. So in turn, I competed to be an example. Now, it's not a big accomplishment relative to what jiu-jitsu players are accomplishing out there. It's blue belt. It's men. There was nobody in my division. There was nobody in the 50-year-old division. I had to go down to the 40-year-old division, and it's ultra heavyweight.
Well, that's impressive. You're going to the younger guys.
Oh yeah, a little bit younger. They're no spring chickens, trust me. But it was really just to be an example for my daughter. I had a blast doing it. My coaches they treat me like I'm fighting for the heavyweight championship of the world. They're unbelievable. So attentive at fight sports. Cyborg was traveling, and before I even finished, I got to my phone. It was my first message was from Cyborg. This guy's like an 11-time world champion or more, and he's got better things to do than worry about an overweight old blue belt. But he was right on it. And, fight sports is an unbelievable place. And it's really good. Matter of fact, if things go well, there might be we might have a fight sports Miami Beach sooner or later. So keep your fingers crossed.
They're a little exclusive there.
That's it.
So also you've been doing the Saturday morning workouts. You're doing some stuff outside now for people who are interested, right?
A lot of people. The traffic's been out of control.
Yeah,
can't cross the bridge.
Too many people moving down here. I'm one of them.
Yeah, exactly. Too many New Yorkers. But anyway, so we have a problem with the traffic, so people can't come. So I'm trying to expose us to the downtown people over the bridge, Miami, the city proper, opposed to Miami Beach. And we have an outdoor facility that's a soccer field. We have outdoor bags. The weather at 9:45 in the morning is, even though it's hot during the day, it's very nice in the morning. And the fresh air, we have a live DJ. Energy's out of control. I have a microphone, so I'm screaming into the microphone, so it's twice as loud. And every bag has been filled. It's been great. So if you get a chance, you can go on my Instagram at Dino Fifth Street Gym, and you can see the address, and you can come by and check it out.
Awesome. So everyone go check that out. I think let's close out with a little boxing talk, some of the highlights of the recent weeks and things to come as far as boxing news. So Tyson Fury, Dillian White, they were talking about that a little bit last night. They're filling out that Wembley Stadium, 90,000 plus. They're asking for more tickets. Tyson Fury is saying, it's my last fight. I'm done after this. I mean, I think he's just trying to sell some tickets there. Sure. But from a coach's perspective, a guy like Tyson Fury, he's got control of the world right now. you know, the world is his oyster. He's fighting Dillian White, but you have those bigger fights looming, Usyk, Joshua. How do you keep a guy focused like that? I know Tyson Fury is a special guy, but how do you have him not look past the Dillian White?
You got to just be with him. You got to be with him all the time, because you as the coach are what separates his life from the rest of his life. You know, when he's with his family, when he's with his friends, they can essentially the conversation and the energy can go anywhere. When you're there, you just are on that topic like you're to the point where you're annoying. You're always like Dylan like this and Dylan like that and Dylan like this and Dylan like that, and you just stay on him. It's really just a matter of that. And you really, as a coach, you sacrifice a lot of time with your own family and your own friends and your own free time. Now, I'm sure he pays them super handsomely, so that's not the issue. But you just stay on their ass, because they're going to drift. They're going to wander. They're human, even though he's a special guy, I know. But he's got to think, he's got a million things to think about. He's got options. The danger of it is, and you even see when someone that gets just to like Danny's level, they can't help themselves, but they almost try to become the coach. There's things, they're always like making, can we work on this? Can we work on that? Can you, they start asking very leading questions that you can see they want to, this is what they've come to the conclusion of. And you may or may not, you may disagree, and you have to stand your ground and not let them decide that we're going to do this today. Or it's very easy for them to, after sparring, like, I'm going to get out of here. It's very easy. Like, they did a great job of sparring. Yeah, let them out of there. When normally they would have done 400 abs and 100 neck exercises. So it's just being consistent, and they expect that of you. They don't. If you are inconsistent, that's when you get the problem. If you let them go out for sparring one day, and the next day you got to stay and do your abs, now you're a jerk. If you've always made them stay and do abs, then you are who you are.
Yeah.
But it's easy. It's tiring to fight with someone that is someone as strong in personality as these people are. I mean, to try to argue with Tyson Fury has got to be a nightmare. But you have, even if he wins the argument, if he leaves and doesn't do his abs or whatever it is, you have to show your consistency, and that is what's going to keep them on track. That's the one thing they need to count on. I know that I got so lucky to be mentored by Angelo Dundee, and Angelo Dundee was Angelo Dundee day in and day out with all the fighters. He let them be themselves, but he stayed the same.
Yeah.
There's certain things he never gave in on. He never did pads, and he never had anybody hold pads. He never let them play music. He never let them play music. He screamed at me for music and pads. And I had it on because it's kind of the atmosphere in the gym, and pads are such a common thing.
I can't understand the no music. I mean, that's the one thing for me.
The no music is that the fighters need to find their own rhythm.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that and if you see
during sparring or even training the bag,
you want to find your own, you don't want to bounce along to that baseline.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
And you could see a lot of fighters have done Dance with the Stars. They've all been terrible. They're not good dancers. What makes them so special is their own rhythm. Their opponents can't find it. They can't figure it out. They can't pick it up. They all throw jab, cross, hook, and uppercuts. What makes them special is that little bit of, they're just a little off.
Yeah.
And that's just enough to offset someone that is equally talented but can't catch their rhythm. And that really shows. And that's why, and I have some coaches, we play music during sparring, just on all the time. Now, if you've ever been to a professional fight, obviously you have, the music in there is loud in between rounds.
Yeah.
It's not quiet.
No.
So I try to create that atmosphere of energy, people. I like when the people yell out. They have no business. Dad, hit him to the body. Jab, use your... Please, that's real fighting. Yeah. Your dad's in the front row. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. He's screaming to do something, and you've heard that voice since you're an infant, and now I'm telling you to do the exact opposite thing. Let your dad come out. I love when I'll never think of his name now. He's from California. He comes here to spar with his dad. He's a 140-pound contender, 135-pound contender. Come on, help me out here.
Valdez?
No, he's a black kid, a black American kid. Great kid, great family. Devin Haney. Thank you. Devin Haney's the best.
Yeah, I should be on like Jeopardy or something. Exactly. Boxing Jeopardy.
Devin Haney is the nicest, please and thank you. His dad's always like, oh, thanks for having us, blah, 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 blah. They couldn't be any more soft-spoken. Literally, they hug and kiss me when they walk in the door. They go in the spar, and their dad starts talking crazy trash about our fighters.
Don't they have also, I've seen in like the, whatever you call it, 24/7 or back, whatever. and you have Devin Haney has his dad, and then he also has some guy like wearing these big Coke bottle glasses who just talks shit the whole time.
Absolutely. And
that's all he just.
My fighters are like, why do you let him come here and do that? Tell him to shut up.
It's like a personal.
I don't want him to shut up. I want them to do it because that's what's going to happen. You're going to fight people like that, and you're going to get that. Get used to who cares what Devin Haney's dad says?
Yeah.
What's the difference? Why do you get him back out of shape? It changes how his son can fight his ass off. He's smacking your mouth. You think that's what matters? The fact that Devin's kicking the shit out of you, not that his dad is talking. If you can't concentrate on someone throwing punches 150 miles an hour at your face, you better get a new job. So I encourage that. One time it was great. We had a Kazakhstan fighter here. A kid barely spoke English. And Devin Haney's dad's telling him, you want to quit? You want to quit? That's it. I know you want to quit. You want to quit. And the kid's ice cold. We call him the Iceman. He's got no response to anything. You can buy him a new car. He wouldn't even smile. He's got no reaction to anything. So then he's yelling and yelling. Then the round's over. I go, by the way, he doesn't speak English. And the whole gym busts out laughing. But it's fun like that. Like, okay, so I got a little jab in on the dad, and the dad gets one on me. Like, who cares?
Yeah. Real
fights, that happens. Real weigh-ins, that stuff happens. You're gonna get all upset because of that. So I encourage all that stuff. I want everyone to have a good time. I want everyone to be. I want Devin Haney and his team to be themselves, and I want us to be ourselves and act accordingly.
Yep, it's like a live concert in here. 11 a.m. Saturdays, sparring, entertainment. You never know who's going to walk in, so it's an awesome.
It's crazy. And there's another very unique thing to both Miami Beach and the Fisher Gym.
It really is unique too. Like, I don't think people understand. Like, I didn't really get it either when I first showed up. I was like, wow, this place is a little different. Like, but there's boxing gyms, obviously all over the place, but a lot of them like have a I've been to like a very kind of serious, like hostile environment almost. Yeah. Like you walk in, you're like, oh, like I hope I don't get like punched in the face. This is you walk in, you're saying hello to everyone. It's a very like fun atmosphere, and then you got the fighters in there going at it. Like it's
the fighters from what I know, fighters are. I mean, they're real men on so many levels, and real men love real women. And there's really hot women in here all the time, and you can see it. I mean, I'm up there paying attention. When they're sparring and they see the girl that's taking a break from her jump rope to look over and watch them, they step on the gas every time. I promise you, every time. It's guaranteed. The other thing is they also, because of social media, people start filming. You get one of the girls to put her. I do it all the time. I have them pretend. I go pick up your camera and aim it at the ring. All of a sudden, you see them. They try to kill each other. They'll do anything for a hot chick. So that just adds one more element, which is what it's like in the real fights. Real fights, look in the front row. It's all celebrities. It's all movie stars. It's hot chicks all over the place. The ring girls are superstars. So that makes it more and more realistic, and that's why people love coming here to spar. Devin Haney comes here. He's on vacation. He's not even training. He comes here just because it's so much fun.
I'm not sure he goes on vacation either, right? I mean, he's one of those guys he keeps his body tight all year round. He seems like he's one
if
of
a
those
guy's
guys
far on
always
vacation,
in the gym.
that's the kind of guy he is.
Right.
So, but he's not in camp per se, and he's out here working.
And he's a guy, I think he's different than a Ryan Garcia, right? I mean, it's pretty obvious right now. No disrespect to Ryan. I think he has a great win over Luke Campbell, but clearly he's not. At least it seems like from what the outside. Maybe I'm wrong, and he's in the gym every day working his ass off, but it seems like he's a guy who's more in and out of the gym. He's doing celebrity type shit. And Devin Haney's, he's boxing. He's in there.
Devin Haney's dad, a lot of these dads I think are goofs and they distract from the child. I think this guy's got it right. He's been exposing them to superstar coaches his whole life. He learns from everybody. They're very open-minded. He's got it right. He knows what he's doing. He's just smart. The dad's a really sharp guy, and he keeps his kids head in the game.
Yeah, you should be fighting for the undisputed title soon, but like Loma and Kambosos supposed to fight. Obviously, Loma's in Ukraine. Like, who knows how that's going to play out? But do you think, like, I don't know, who's the guy in that division? Maybe you're a little biased towards Devin Haney, maybe not. But
I mean, I like Devin a lot, But the other kid, the kid that just lost the belt, Teofimo is so big and strong.
Yeah,
I don't know if he can make that weight anymore.
I know he might be going up. I think that would.
Kambosos is such a hard worker. I think he caught the right guy on the right day. He may be the least talented of that group, but he's been here and he looks unbelievable in person. So it's he may be the least talented. It's not about being the best fighter. It's about being the best fighter on that night.
Right.
It's only that night. So Kambosos did it when it counted. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. Nothing else. All your potential and all your past are all bullshit. It matters right now, that night, and that's all that counts. And he did it, and that's why he's got all the belts. And he deserved it. His team is good. His coach is good. So they got what they deserve. Everything. Because they earned it. So it just depends. And I think all these guys anybody could be any one of these guys on any given Sunday.
Yeah.
But who can do it when it counts remains to be seen.
It immediately makes me go to Josh Taylor and Catterall, because Josh Taylor, when you talk about these guys, how deserving they are of having the titles and the money payout, Catterall got robbed. I mean, Josh Taylor did not win that fight. It was in his hometown, and he was not the guy on the night. Maybe he is the better fighter, but he was not the guy on the night. And then to get robbed like that, that's the biggest issue in boxing right now is the judges. And I think, people harp on it over and over again. How do we fix it? Maybe we get more judges, maybe live scoring. I know Coach Guy and I talked about open scoring. I think the WBC has done that in the past.
We just did open scoring for the Noel Mikaelian.
How'd you like it?
And I liked it a lot, but when we won the first 4 rounds, we didn't get touched. I mean, not touched. And one of the judges had us 2-2. I was like, what is he, insane? Now, fortunately, the other had us 4-0, so it didn't matter. But you're still, it's not like you can tell your fighter to do more, but what more could you have done? You don't want to have your fighter have to knock somebody out because there's bad scoring. That's not right. He was outboxing that guy, give him a lesson, making him miss and fall over himself. He shouldn't have to do anything more than that.
But it is what it is, though, right?
That's what I'm saying. So if you know what the score is, what's the difference?
You got to knock him out.
Okay, and then you don't, and you should have won.
It's not right, but if that's what it is,
I guess it gives you
would
one.
You rather know?
Option.
You rather know, right?
I'll tell you though. When I was once. We were fighting for the European title, Bilal Lagoon at I want to say cruiserweight, maybe light heavyweight, and we were fighting in Croatia, and we were fighting a Croatian fighter for the belt, and I said, man, you better finish this guy because they're going to rob you. I'll tell you right now. I'm in the corner on the microphone yelling at him, you're winning. It's not enough. I need a knockout. So he winds up winning a decision. And it was chaos, the whole thing. The brother of the fighter was the president of the Croatian Hells Angels. They set up the fight for 11 o'clock. We're supposed to go out. At 9 o'clock, they're banging on the door. Come on, let's go. Go. But I was a kid at the time. Most coaches are usually we're in our 40s and 50s and 60s, and these kids are in their 20s. That's very stressful for them, which was the idea. I said, we're not going anywhere. I locked the door. We're not going anywhere. The president of the Hells Angels is banging on the door. You're next. I said, Bilal, relax. We're not going anywhere. I sat there quietly. I go, just relax. I didn't even answer. We finally go out there. They're screaming at us. We've been waiting the TV. Just lie. Just bullshit. Yeah. We get out there, and I'm saying, you're going to get robbed. I already, I feel like this is emotion.
Set up against you.
So he winds up really shutting the guy out, whooping his ass, but doesn't stop him. So later that night, I'm in the hotel lobby in these small.
Did
European
he get the win, or
he winds up winning?
Okay, I was like,
and he shuts him out. He wins. Right. So all these towns. There's nowhere to go in these European towns at night. This is not Manhattan. There is nothing to do. So everybody winds up getting delivery and eating in the lobby and hanging out the lobby, the bar, even the bar closed. So the judge was from Poland, and he's like, "You were telling me." He's smoking a cigarette outside. He's like, "You're telling me he's not good? He won on every. I had him winning on every single round. What are you talking about? You could have got your fighter knocked out." So you see what I'm saying? I'm worried about getting robbed, so I want him to finish him, and we could have lost the fight because of that.
Right.
Now in turn, he wound up winning the last rounds super convincingly.
Yeah.
And I wasn't worried, and Bilal had a chin, so I wasn't worried about that. The guy was too tired. We were conditioned, so It wasn't just me thinking about the judges, but it really shouldn't affect the way it does. And it does. It affects the coaching. It affects the crowd. It affects everything. And it affects your career. You take that loss. The next thing you know, you're fighting. Instead of defending your belt for $1 million, you're fighting some upstart that thinks that he can get where you are for $40,000. The same camp, the same training, the same intensity, the same sparring for $40,000 instead of $1 million. Man, how could you do that to somebody? When they say robbery, they're literally taking money off your family's table.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing with Catterall too. He just got robbed. like everyone was pretty much unanimously like, you won the fight. Okay, so now Josh Taylor's saying I'm probably going to go up and wait. So he's going to vacate those belts, go up. Who's to say Catterall's going to get a shot at those belts now? Because he's not really a star. He's not that big of a name. Like, not, you know.
Well, the sanctioning bodies.
He could be like just boxed out now.
The sanctioning body should make him the contender.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious. I mean, they're allowed to do that, but they don't. They don't make those moves. They don't do what's right all the time. Sometimes they do, and sometimes there's a lot. Like, we want to fight for the cruiserweight belt. Canelo might fight for the cruiserweight belt. What do we get? There's millions and millions of dollars at stake. We could yell at them. I could send a letter to the WBC. What's that having? That doesn't put food on anybody's table. So we're going to wait. We have no choice to wait for Canelo and see what he's going to do.
And that's within the WBC, correct?
Correct, yeah.
And maybe it'd be interesting to explain like why you couldn't go outside of the WBC. Like, do they just have full control over?
No, absolutely not. There's no control at all.
Because you say we're fighting for the title, but why not the WBO?
Because we're not rated that high.
Okay.
Because we fought for a stepping stone title in the WBC and got a great opportunity through Global Legion and the WBC to fight for that title to move up in the rankings. He was already high in the rankings already. He got moved up. Now he fought for the silver belt and he's there. So now that is the shortest road. If he were to fight for one of those other sanctioned bodies, he'd have to fight another fight like this to then get the title fight.
And maybe another network or whatever. I mean, the last one was on Probellum too, which is Lou DiBella's involved with.
We're signed with Probellum now.
Yeah.
Noel's with Probellum. So they're going to make the moves. Then we can just hurry up and wait. I mean, he banged his hand up a little bit. The glove situation, people that are sitting at home have no idea. We brought gloves from, what's the Canadian company? Come on, Jeopardy. French-Canadian company.
I'm not going to get this one. I only got like 4 core gloves. Winning, Grant, Everlast.
It's the other famous one. Everyone, Rival.
Rival, okay.
See, I get the points.
There you go.
So Rival, we bring Rival gloves for us and for the opponent. The Commission of Latvia, who's not a player in boxing, decides the gloves are too hard. So they give us new gloves. They go to the store.
Like Dick's Sporting Goods?
Of Latvia, imagine. They go to the store and they buy 2 pairs of Rival gloves. 16-ounce fight gloves. There's nothing illegal about them. But they were so small, I had to wrap Noel's hands half the wrap, as I normally put on, to fit his big hand in the glove. In turn, he wound up hurting his knuckle because he had half the padding.
They just happen to be small? Like,
all gloves
still 16 ounce, but yeah, it's different.
You know, I used to have a fighter named Fresno Kendo. We fought Evander Holyfield for the world title, or for a stepping stone title that would have qualified for the world title. And we were fighting at the Alamo Dome, big press conference. They give us the gloves on stage. Frez wears extra large Everlast. That's what he wears. He's got giant hands. He could palm a basketball. That's how big his hands are. They gave us large. I'm on the stage like we've never been to a boxing match, trying to get the gloves in. With no wraps on them, we couldn't get them in.
Wow, yeah.
So there's so many details.
Could that benefit you ever? Then it's like a freaking rock in there, right?
Not if you break your hand.
No, yeah.
So but
you think it'd be piercing through the leather?
I mean, there's a reason why fighters wrap.
Yeah.
Because there's so many punches.
Yeah.
You know, if it's a street fight, you're going to throw one crack. You don't need to have your hands wrapped. You're going to throw 200 punches. You better be prepared.
Wow. Well, Lou DiBella, you can't be bummed about that, right? Being involved with Lou DiBella and Probellum, they just brought him in.
Yeah, I think that the more, I think in boxing, the more heads, the better. I don't think that too many chefs will explode.
No.
I think it's the opposite. I think that it comes down to as many connections as possible.
I just think he's one of the more creative guys in the space. I mean, like, we've talked about Eddie Hearn, and I think he's awesome. But Lou DiBella, as like an older face in boxing, is one of the more creative guys because he helped create a lot of different segments and features on HBO that did really well. Like, what is it called? Night of Boxing, whatever the series was called. I'm blanking on it. It was awesome, and he's probably going to be looking to do that with Probellum.
He's done it all, so he'll have access. Plus, he's a Harvard graduate. He's got a lot of connections. He was in TV. In the end, it comes down to your connections, and he's got them. So I think it's going to be very, especially on the American side. The rest of Probellum has European locked up. I think that they'll get a lot of good things done. But again, we're in this odd. We just happen to be caught in this Canelo thing, and Canelo ain't going to fight us. That's for sure.
Well, there you have it. We got Noel Mikaelian, another belt and he's going to be fighting again soon on Pro Bellum with Lou DiBella, which is exciting. We got Daniele up there. If you can see it on camera, he's fighting again soon in Milan. Awesome.
May 13th, he's fighting DeCarlos.
There you go.
That'll be on Matchroom and on The Zone.
There you go. So everyone go check that out. Everyone go to YouTube, hit subscribe at The Pod Matrix. Follow me on Instagram at Brooklyn Boxing Podcast. Dino, where can they see this food content that's coming very soon? I know Lent is around the corner.
Lent is almost over. At Dino Fifth Street Gym, both on Instagram and on YouTube. You can get all of the content, boxing tips, lunch tips, dinner tips, all kind of tips.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
The Pod Matrix.